You're looking live. Kev, you'll have to do a sound check.
The
YouTube sound check. My phone is.
Oh, yeah, here's our checker router.
What do you say?
You have to do a YouTube sound check.
Oh, got it.
Bonus material in the front.
Whoa.
T, you there?
I'm here.
There he is.
There he is.
It's Captain.
With my whoopee on my foot.
You whoopee?
I have a whoopee on my foot.
Hey, are we...
It's a lot of whoopee.
That's a remix.
Is that you? T, are you listening to us too?
Yes.
Am I listening to what?
You're supposed to turn your radio down, T. Turn your radio down when you're on the radio.
I'm not listening to you.
Come on. Let's be honest. You have us on every device in your house.
I'm sick of listening to you.
Get real.
Well, that's believable. All right, here we go. Thank you for joining us on another Tuesday night. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo. This is the WCAC Spectacular, where we cover the greatest high school sports conference in the land, in our humble opinion. He's Kevin Ricca.
It's not our humble opinion. It's our downright, absolute concrete opinion, and they did not disappoint last evening at Ludwig Field.
Sitting in a very honored spot this evening, Matt the Real Deal Seal.
I'm very honored to be in the Tim Strachan seat. However, I am not replacing Tim Strachan tonight because he's on the phone.
Yes, because he's still on the show. Mr. Strachan, how are you doing this evening?
Well, I may be calling in on location, but Seal, I'm still in my seat.
He's still in his, that's true.
Technically.
So I'm in the Tim Strachan spot.
I said honorary spot. I never said anything about seat.
My
You went
seat
there.
is with me, no matter where I go. But I'm sorry I'm not there, guys, but it didn't disappoint once again last night. I thought you all did a fantastic job. Looking forward to talking about it, man.
Indeed.
Congratulations again on a Tuesday night from the basement. It seems like we've been doing this quite a lot to the Gonzaga High School Purple Eagles. They triumphed over the St. John's Cadets in a very good championship game that lived up to the name, championship game. And we also have congratulations to the Bishop Ireton girls. And I mean, I'll say those names: Aubrey Williams and Riley Casey. They are every bit deserving of the title champion. Their teammates as well. They stole a lot of shine because of how well they shined, and it was a pleasure to watch a girls lacrosse game with so few stoppages. I mean, it wouldn't end. It was like just the ball stayed in possession,
and with absolute legit athleticism. There was speed and talent all over that field on both sides. Good counsel as well.
Congratulations to Good Counsel on a great season. Let's start on the first game. Gonzaga, St. John's. Gonzaga won the first game 6-2. It was a low-scoring game by all accounts for the way that these offenses are capable of scoring. And early in the game yesterday, it was locked up 1-1, 2-2. It was a tight game, and it felt tight. The weather was weird. It was kind of overcast and rainy and cold.
Well, both teams came out of the gates. Go ahead, Steve.
I agree with you, Ken. I agree with you first and foremost on just congratulating Gonzaga. It is becoming redundant. But to Casey O'Neill and his crew for doing what they did, just unbelievable what they've accomplished there for the last few years, and certainly this year and last night. But you're right. I was surprised by the score of the game. I thought there was going to be a lot more offense, but they also played to a low-scoring game in the regular season as well. So to show, too, the athleticism and the level of play on the defensive side of the game as well. And I really enjoyed Danny Phillips. I thought you guys, again, did a great job. Danny was so good at breaking down the analysis of the game and, shooting from the plane of the ball from the bottom up, the first goal that was made. It was great insight to very very well played lacrosse game, and it was almost we've been spoiled by the football championship and the basketball championship because they came down to the very last second, one being epic in all due respect. But this almost lived up to it as well. And I thought
absolutely.
that St. John's played so hard. Those young guys out there, get an opportunity young. They're going to be back, as Kevin said.
Luke Roa.
It was such a joy to watch.
Garza.
Yeah, I knew in 1990
Haley.
when I met Danny Phillips at St. John's College High School for football practice that someday him and I and a few others would call a high school lacrosse game together. Yeah, Danny did do a great job.
Yes, he
But the
did.
kids on the field, the game was legit. Ken said it was 2-2, and then Gonzaga went on a run. They scored 4 unanswered, and, we thought it might be slipping away. We were on the verge of it being, too much of a tilt for the cadets. And I'm telling you, those young kids and a handful of seniors, they bared down. They got it back to 6-6 on a T.J. Haley goal from no angle whatsoever. And, they were double teaming him all day. It was the one time they didn't. He got loose and made a great shot. All of a sudden, we're looking around and going, First Amendment Sports is in the house. It's about to happen again. It's going down.
Yeah.
And like you talked about it, the old saying that defense wins championships. Well, both these teams played enough defense for a championship to be won. They were both phenomenal because Gonzaga is loaded offensively, and St. John's has got 2 guys that are putting up numbers that rival any 2 people in the country. And the defense and the goaltending, I can't get enough of. Tim Marcel, he's in the Under Armour All-American game for a reason. And then he was legit. He was a rock wall
George
back there.
Alvarez was great.
But George Alvarez kept his team in the game.
Stood on his head.
He did. And a lot of those goals were at point blank range. He made so many saves that kept St. John's in the game, allowed them to tie it back up. It was just it was exactly what it was supposed to be. It was exactly what it was supposed to be.
He stopped the score from being
He
a lot
was
worse.
a beast. The Naval Academy is certainly happy. He's going to be a beast for them as well, but he's not done yet. He's
No,
got
he's
another
coming
year
back.
kicking field goals, extra points, and saving howitzer shots from all kinds of guys from the league.
I'll say that the common theme from the boys and the girls games was dominance for the boys in the face-off position with Andrew O'Barry, and for the girls in the draw with Aubrey Williams from Ireton. Andrew O'Barry was great. The freshman Blake Boyd had his hands full all night long. St. John stuck with Blake Boyd. I mean, that was the face-off every single time for the entire game. The possessions were spread out. The goal scoring was down, so not as many opportunities that you would expect with these 2 offenses. But Andrew O'Barry played a great game. He was able to really take possession and get downfield. Him and his brother connected for a really cool goal. It's kind of trash going back and forth between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
One of them finally put it in. So
O'Barry cubed. You said it. I heard it.
O'Barry cubed. O'Barry to O'Barry to
The
O'Barry.
O'Barrys and the Haleys were out there as brothers playing in that. That's got to be a crazy feeling. I mean, but I will say this. How about 12 different players scoring 14 goals in that championship game? Gonzaga had 7 different guys. Brian Collins scored 2. Kurt Brunn, Andrew O'Barry, P.J. Zinsner, Doan Keekle, and Henry Mudlaff, and Max Eisler all scored for Gonzaga. That's 7 different guys getting it done in the championship. And then over at St. John's, Alan Long, big 55. He had 2 serious crank shots. I mean, you don't want to be in the way of that one. That was nasty. Trent Stewart
had
the
some-
light-footed cat. Gavin Kelly, the freshman. T.J. Haley and Dane Hall, the 2
But
guys
Quentin
that led
Young.
all year.
So everything
Quentin Young
that they
was
did
a huge factor.
that was successful when St. John's was able to transition from defense to offense and be successful on the offensive side, it almost always either started with Quentin Young or started and got almost to the finish with Quentin Young. He was chippy off the ball, which if you're playing a team that's done nothing but win WCAC titles, you need to be chippy off the ball. He didn't take any guff from anybody, and he stood up. And I thought that the result was indicative of the battle. Like no one got blown out here. And the cool thing is you don't have to be an expert at lacrosse to see, like, at the end of that game, the difference in the game was Gonzaga was able to play fairly mistake-free in their offensive end and hold the ball. And when St. John's forced a few loose balls, which they did, and when Alvarez made a couple saves, which he did, they just weren't able to corral it.
When they went white out
Yeah.
and had the goalie running around playing man-to-man defense and got the ball on the ground
Yep.
and had that
They had
scrub,
chances.
it was tied up. There was a chance
Yep.
right then and there for St. John's to get back
So
into it.
that's close.
And absolutely, but getting back to Quentin Young, by the way, he did everything and everything. There was 4 guys from Gonzaga with an assist, 3 guys from St. John's, but he led the day with assists. How about that? He was the assist leader on the field for both teams. It seems like he did absolutely everything. He helped on every single clear, get him the ball, let him run. He was a beast out there, and that's why Coach calls him the MVP of the squad. He loves his game. He's a tremendous player. That was a tremendous game. And how about Casey O'Neill getting 9 out of 10, man?
Yep.
I saw him pregame. T, I see him pregame that Gonzaga's getting off the bus. I'm over there talking to old Bryce Bevel from DeMatha, Ireton's AD, in charge of lacrosse. He didn't want to hand me too many programs, but I said we need a lot. We need all kinds of programs. But Casey got off the bus, thanked us for being there, thanked us for everything that we do, and then said, "Hey, man, Ken texted me today. It's a big day." And,
I'm texting him on
it's a big
game
day
day
for everyone, buddy. But Steve Turner started that, so Casey's gonna have to take that up with Steve.
That's right.
Steve called up Darren McClinton and myself on game day to make sure that we had all the stats proper.
I knew
and the names
Anwar
pronounced
Gill
correctly,
was.
and said, "Let's shout out a little Anwar Gill, who was the manager on the field for the lacrosse
He
team."
was out last night. Right.
He was down there.
He was down there.
And if anyone's watched a First Amendment sports broadcast, we're going to cover the managers because that's how we do. Best managers in the entire country.
Anwar Gill
right.
and Vinnie Morin are the nominees for Manager of the Year at the end of the season award show.
We're still accepting
which
ballots.
is coming.
right.
It is coming. It
Which is
absolutely
coming.
is coming.
I tell you, if you're
Well,
talking
Kevin,
about
let me say this: that as much as it hurts a Stag to be giving so much credit and praise to Gonzaga for what they've done and most recently across, it's really not hard when you got quality people like Casey O'Neill who does it the right way. He exemplified that when he was on the show. And I know he's going to be back down there and have to bring the trophy like everybody else. But when you got good people like that, then it is easy to be a part of this. And again, congratulations to them. As much as it hurts me to say that, but also to the runner-ups, as you guys were saying, I was really just so impressed with how St. John's, how young they are, battling back and not letting that game get away from them. Counts on the other side doing the same thing. There was an opportunity for that game to get blown wide open, and they hung on. So we'd love to tell them again, congratulations on your season. It was a treat.
T, we had footage of a late timeout. St. John's down a goal, trying to get back into the mix, clinging on for dear life. Coach Wes Speaks takes a timeout. I'm not sure if you saw that exact. It was about a 30-second clip, and they had Wes Speaks in the huddle, surrounded by the team. And I'm telling you, I wanted to dive through the window, grab a lacrosse stick, and
the
jump
hair on
onto
your
the
arm
field.
stands up.
He
Absolutely.
is a guy that I would go play anything for. Both these teams have extreme, ridiculous leadership. We can say it here because this is what we're talking about. But Casey O'Neill was a part of the hiring of Wes Speaks over St. John's. A huge recommendation came from Casey O'Neill. Just a class act. Coach Wes Speaks, a class act, took his time out for us as well. But when I saw him down there, he's a kind of a buttoned-up guy. He's a very, very brilliant guy. Tremendous success at Gettysburg. He was the recruiting coordinator. He put them in positions that they were in Final Fours year in, year out. When I saw him getting fired up down there, a part of me got lit up, man. That was sick. Both these coaches went at it. What a great battle. We're lucky to have called both those guys our friends on the show.
Well, at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? It gets your emotions going. It gets you fired up. It gets your heart pumping, and that's the stuff that we remember what happened when we played. That's what we love seeing again as we're covering these teams. That's what makes sports so enjoyable and fun to do.
I only got to play in one championship game at McNamara, and we won, and it was the most amazing thing. I couldn't agree with you more, T. And I do want to say, speaking of championship games, in case anyone's wondering, there was a positive identification sighting of Mr. Marshall from Gonzaga. He was in the stands with his good dad Terry. Appreciate those guys, and then makes it official. He's been a part of all three of our championship broadcasts.
T, I had to hold Ken down. He was chomping
As
at
a
the
Navy
bit.
boy, I told him I spent it all weekend in Annapolis, so Naval Academy on the mind. But either way, we can't do it. I don't know what we're gonna do next year. We need a whole new batch.
We're gonna be just fine.
St.
next year.
John's lacrosse team is full of a whole new batch. I was super impressed with Gavin Kelly. They clearly trust Roa and Garza on the offensive side to control and take as much heat as they possibly can off TJ Haley. Because obviously, if you're watching that game and the senior laden Gonzaga Eagles, and TJ Haley has to carry a whole lot of water and not give up the ball. They're going to let him hold it and decide where to go, and then whoever he passes to is going to need to shoot it, and that's why he gets assists.
And let's make sure we give a shout out to neighborhood boy and a local favorite around here, Andrew Ganella, and that Gonzaga defense.
Yep.
They were
Stout.
absolutely
Sam Sweeney.
all of it. Sam Sweeney. I'm just saying, Andrew grew up right up the street from us right here, and that senior, he had his moment in the sun. That defense was just lights out. It was just 8-6. It was a battle. It was a battle when that game ended. You could see it. It was a battle. It was great to be a part of, great to watch. I'm glad the weather cooperated. That field, after 2.5, 3 days of rain,
Tremendous.
oh man, I wanted to bring my golf bag down there and start hitting wedges.
It felt dry.
It was bone dry.
Bone dry. So when they kept saying we have the best field, this is going to drain, no problem. They were 100% right. The game didn't tear it up at all. Want to talk real fast. Don't want to leave out the girls' game because again, Aubrey Williams, Riley Casey put on a show. Aubrey Williams just dominated from the draw on every draw, and it was clearly the difference in the game early. Riley Casey became difference in the game late. I was trying to think of who I would give the player of the game to. On the good counsel side, I was very impressed with Gracie Smith. She kept her team in it, and similar to the boys' game, Ireton could have and maybe should have run away with it in the first half, and they didn't. And good counsel had every chance in that game. In the middle of the second half.
Coach Hates runs such a ridiculous program. We knew that they weren't going to, get walked off on. No one's going to run and hide on that sidelines. He's been in millions of championships. I think he won 9 of the first 10 he coached in. In recent years, Coach Sofield has had a ridiculous amount of talent come through the program. Like we said, those guys are not coaches. They're directors of programs at this point.
That's right.
And that showed on the field. These ladies, the execution was tremendous. The athleticism was nonstop. The way they ran offense, both sides put on a clinic. And, Ireton just had a little too much firepower. That behind the back shot.
Oh, if we had
Magic.
captured that, saved it, and done the thing we did after football, if we had sent that goal to Sports Center and everywhere, which we just couldn't have done it, it would have been top 10 of the day. It was a classy play. Great experience on the Good Counsel Falcons girls side for the Madeline Rudolphs and the Josephine Bowers and some of the young talents with clearly a ton of ability that made it through that game and gained a little knowledge, and we expect to see them there next year.
I just had a mind blank for a second, but Emily King, she picked off that pass and ran in and deked and scored early. She's only a sophomore. I love her game. She was feisty.
What year is Gracie? Is she a sophomore as well? Number 10.
Gracie is a sophomore as
Yeah,
well. We'll
so
be
that's a
seeing a lot of
program,
the two of them here.
A lot of
in the
talent,
future, yes.
and that's again we always talk about at the high school level. We got 4 years of these players,
along with Madison Flynn. There's some.
That's right.
She said at the face-off circles where the key is.
Yeah.
Possession is everything, and you have to have the face-off victory. Gives you
In the girls' game, it's a draw.
Draw, excuse me.
Come on.
But you know what I'm
Hey,
saying.
win, lose, or draw. Win, lose on the draw is what it is.
It was the difference in. It was a big-time difference in the girls' game. Andrew O'Barry made it a factor in the boys' game. What do you got there, T?
I was just going to say I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. I was impressed with the quality of play of the girls' game. And Ken, you mentioned earlier there was not a whole lot of stoppage. That's what happens when you have high-quality girls lacrosse. Teams that know what they're doing, they know how to play the game right. I enjoyed watching, some of the girls lacrosse, in particular the Maryland girls, play this past weekend, in the tournament. And what I saw last night was not far off in terms of the scheme, the tacticians that were out on the field. Now knowing that there's a lot of young girls on both teams, what's cool about us covering this going forward is that we're going to see these girls again. They're going to, they're all going to get better from here on out. And that's what makes this so much fun to do. And I do want to make a note. We have to throw a huge shout out to Annie Hannon. I think she made you guys look fantastic.
How do we get this far into the show without saying thank you to Annie?
But she lent so much credibility to it. She was so good at Maryland.
She
had
was
that
a pro.
opportunity to be there, do that. She was fantastic. To be able to just have someone explain the rules of the girls' game, because there are so many of them. She bailed you guys out of many situations.
Yeah, knowing the penalties, while they're pointing people out, she was very nervous. This was her first time doing a broadcast of any kind.
She didn't show
and
it.
I thought she was great, and I said, hey, listen, we're gonna need you back next year. Now we all know these players more. We all know this game more. Now we can sound a little bit smarter. Then you can start giving us a little second level stuff. Not just the stuff we probably should have already known after the first time it happened. Like what we're watching, the referee pull the defensive player outside, they get like a head start on the clear, and also the penalty kick, excitement of a play where the girl gets a free run at the goal, but it might running in and trying to shoot might not be her best move. It's all in a tight circle, no zone defenders, so it's all body on body, athlete on athlete, and they're making passes to each other where there's no player open, and the players running open, running a pass. I mean, these girls, that's how well they know each other's game. It's very impressive. I thought both the boys and the girls, those kinds of things are what make you a champion, and both all four teams were really doing those things.
Without a
What
doubt.
I love about the girls' game, what I love about the girls' game though is the strategy. It's very much like girls and boys basketball as well. Boys lacrosse is dominated so much by some of the athleticism, the speed, the size, the power, right? The girls' game is all about the fundamentals and playing the game the right way, and it's so awesome to watch a team at a high level play that way, because it makes so much more sense, and it's so enjoyable to watch them do that.
Yeah, I had one thing that got me, and I'm just going to say it while I have a microphone in front of my face. My sister Jackie Ricco, she was a conference player of the year at Mount St. Mary's in the Northeastern Conference. She had a great career there. We got to see a lot of women's lacrosse. I love the sport. It's fantastic. The rules have come a long way since then, and she's not that far removed from playing. We're sitting there looking at all the penalties. Annie's explaining it to us, and I'm on the. I have an understanding.
Sure.
But some of these rules have changed since I've watched last, and I've watched up and through the last few years. When they start putting the metric system in, the 8-meter line.
The meters.
I'm like, what lacrosse? What? We're going metric system on this?
Yeah.
Like, that's what got me. That's when I said, I need to be quiet. I need to let Annie talk and let Ken find out what he's doing, and I'm going to sit over here and just take it all in and enjoy the
Observe and
athleticism.
learn.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
You're over there Googling conversion of meters into feet.
Yes, it was kids have dropped over dead converting metric.
And
I'll never
yards.
forget that line, but I
Yards,
couldn't get
probably
back to
more-
the decimal
more
point
appropriate.
that I needed to. But
How many
anyways,
parsecs is
hey,
that?
pardon me for getting my big fat head in the way of all this, but that's what intimidated me. I was like, I thought it was but listen, when your wife's an athletic director and she has you come out and line the girls across field, you take passion in it.
Yeah.
And
8 meters
I
is 8
like it.
meters.
And I like when they moved the goal instantly when the game ended to get the girls lined up. And Danny Phillips, who's been a lifelong lacrosse guy, had no idea what was going on, and I did. And I was like, yes,
Like,
you
that's-
got to move
no,
those goals
the
back,
goals go
buddy.
back there.
They got to go back. A lot more room for the boys' game.
I love that the boys played a wider field. I know it's subtle. It was, I think, an extra 5 yards or
5 yards on either
17
side.
hectares. I don't know how they measured that out, but it was a wider
Yeah,
field for the boys.
hectometers. Is that what it
Hectometers. It was there was hectometers, but I think that's cool. At McNamara, we played a wider soccer field, and I always thought that was an advantage.
Wider than the football field. That's right.
Yeah, and so I like differences in fields. I think I think that the little
pitch.
things like that are cool.
The pitch, that is.
I know. I get excited about
like
stuff.
the ivy on the walls and Wrigley.
No.
and,
This
Like
was
the
the
Green
game of play.
Monster.
I guess the ivy on the walls is in the field of play, but
yes,
this.
it is in play.
But there was a couple times when the ball. I mean, we're talking about plays being made on the sideline in the boys' game
Yeah.
that would otherwise not be available to be made. Because
Yeah, a couple times hunting down an errant pass and someone
possessions
got a break.
were saved
Someone got a
because you got
break.
5
Yes, I
more
know.
decommodores to get to the ball. I'm not sure.
Decimeters.
Decimators.
Yeah.
You say
Yeah,
decimeter,
spot the
decimator. But let's not forget that we had a little action on the diamond
We
that
sure
Pete,
did,
that
didn't we?
Pete Schweddy came to report on.
Ooh.
Saw some good baseball for sure in the conference.
Very good baseball.
I'm a big fan of a best-of-3 series. They do that for the
It's
semifinals
awesome.
and the finals. So no team can get bounced unless you lose your quarterfinal matchup. Nobody did that on the tops. DeMatha,
Speak up there, Schweddy.
DeMatha and
There you go.
McNamara went 3 games in the
Yeah.
semifinals. The Stags snuck it out in 3 against your Mustangs.
I'm sorry, Seal. What was that?
Yeah, you got to yell at him.
Are you
T can't
serious?
hear
You
it.
can't hear me there?
Yeah.
I'm speaking into your microphone, so
Yeah.
I'm not on my usual.
Oh, no, now he's eating it. T. All
my
right.
dulcet
Yes, we have
tones of
contact.
my
Yes.
microphone.
I think he
there.
wants you
Yes.
to.
Well,
Remind
McNamara,
Yeah,
who
he's going
won.
to have to apologize to that microphone now.
McNamara had a hell of a season, Ken.
Yes, they did.
22-7, 12-5 in conference. They tripled their number of conference wins from last year. They had 12 this year. They
It was a
had
good
4
year.
last
It
year.
was a fun year to fight.
yeah.
They
won 12 more overall games. They only won 10 games last year. They won 22 baseball games this
Great
year.
players.
They had a hell
Good
of a
coaching.
season for the
That's a
Mustangs.
great season.
Mustangs on the all-conference first team. Player of the year, Ian Cawthorn, infielder from McNamara. Joe Quelch, pitcher. Ryan Shea, catcher. Coach
yep.
of the year, Anthony Sosnowski. For McNamara, The baseball future is bright in Forestville, boys. Congratulations. I don't think they're doing any postseason tournaments in Maryland, so I think that's a wrap for the season. St. John's bested O'Connell in 3 games. O'Connell won the first game at St. John's. Apparently it was a riddle with error for the Cadets. But they went to O'Connell and won game 3-0. Freshman pitcher James Triantos had a nice game for the Cadets.
Freshman pitcher in an elimination game.
Big-time environment over there. O'Connell has a great fan base. It's a nice place to watch a baseball game. Went back to St. John's for game 3. It went 9 innings. The Cadets won 3-2 on a tie goes to the runner play at first base. It was incredible. Umpire saw it one way. The O'Connell guys saw it another, however. They were gracious in defeat.
It was bang, bang.
It really was. You couldn't have argued the call either way, to be honest with you. I was standing right there. I watched it, but St. John's got the best of that one and went on to defeat DeMatha in the best of 3. They took both games. First game Friday night, 10-0 in 5 innings behind 5 strong innings from freshman pitcher Jack O'Connor. And the Cadets strong hitting from guys like Ian Ramalia and Justin Reimer, who had the game-winning hit and RBI against O'Connell in game 3. They
Hey, real quick, I'm going to interject real fast.
Go for it.
In game 3, Coach Gibbs successfully, the leadoff runner got on in 5 consecutive innings, and they successfully sacrifice bunted that leadoff hitter from first to second in 5 straight innings.
That's strong.
I am sorry. At the high school level, as I was following it on Twitter, shout out to my cousin Gigi Lombardo, doing it. She's on the Twitter patrol for the Cadets. I'm following it. And every inning, it seems like the leadoff runner got on, sacrifice bunt. Out at first, 1 down, leadoff runner on second. That is execution. That is baseball.
That's
A
St.
purist,
John's baseball
a
for
pure,
you.
exactly. He's ahead of his game. Mark Gibbs, man, that's you got. I feel like we got an edge going into a baseball game. You got a guy that's won 6 straight. I just loved it. I had to mention that as I followed it on Twitter. It was tremendous to me. Like if someone would have told me to bunt at that age, like come on, man. This is a whole different program, a whole different way of going about things, and it was tremendous.
In that lineup knows when they come up, if they get that signal and they don't bunt, they're going to hear about it.
Program
from everybody
director.
from everybody, because that call's being made for a reason.
What a culture. That's it.
It's amazing. 6 in a row. The Cadets took down DeMatha 9-1 for the second game. There's a slight rain delay in the middle there, but the Cadets held strong. Pitcher Luke Schauer for the Cadets, junior lefty, went strong for the boys there. 27 wins, 3 losses for the Cadets. Can you name the 3 losses? Anybody?
How many in conference?
Down in IMG.
They lost once to Flanagan High School in Florida at the IMJ event. They lost to Calvert Hall early, who's
had a tremendous program forever, and the O'Connell,
strong.
O'Connell for
playoff games. So they're in the DCSAA. They won today, so they're 28 now.
28-3.
They're playing St.
They won like
Albans.
5 games today.
St. Albans on Thursday at 5 p.m. at St. John's. They played in the regular season about 3 weeks ago. St. Albans had a 2-0 lead, I believe, in the 6th or 7th inning. St. John's came back to win 3-2. So it'll be a great game on Thursday night. Winner will advance.
Huge.
Play probably the winner of Gonzaga Wilson, I would think.
Oh, that sounds good, man. Well
Heck
done,
of a baseball season for the WCAC as usual, living up to the hype of the fall and the winter.
We weren't able to put it on wax this year, but I hope to be able to do baseball next year.
Figure something out next year for sure.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Gibbs. We talked about a good way to figure this out because there's smarter guys than us that can help us. But there's one thing I have a bone to pick with T. Strachan. May I go right ahead and do that?
Mm-hmm.
I do, T. And this is baseball related. And it's not just because the Cadets took down the Stags in the championship, which is part one.
I'm sure that has nothing to do with what you're about to talk about. But
just a tad bit, but I do believe you suggested here last week that it was McNamara's year, you said.
Yep.
And I said, what about the Cadets? And then, but your Stags were going up against McNamara at the time, so I can't give you too much guff.
Well,
that was just your gut feel.
The Cadets are the team that were on top of the mountain that everybody was shooting for. I was just really impressed with the Mustangs' momentum they were carrying to the off season. I just happened to notice what they were doing this year and was impressed with it, and I just thought maybe they were a hot team that could do it.
All right,
I really did.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty. I'm not going too far into it, but that continental bet just went to double meat, double cheese. Just duly noted.
Double.
We got that on wax.
Double.
That is on wax.
No, listen, man. Congratulations to Mark Gibbs and the St. John's program. I mean, absolutely incredible what they've done there as well. And again, just to say that we had Mark Gibbs on a couple weeks ago, and it's just indicative of what he's done with his program. You know, he's a class act. He does it the class way, and that's what that's the result you get when you do it that way.
We have a stat for that.
Yes.
It's great to watch.
We have a stat for that, T.
Here's the stat, T. Randy Trivers, Jonathan Scribner, Steve Turner, Mark Gibbs, and Casey O'Neill all came to the basement or were live on a First Amendment program before they won that season's championship.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
there's a
the road to the WCAC championship goes right through Sproul Drive.
Yep, right through the basement.
And through the
There you
basement
go.
down here at the
I think
Marangolo
that's
household.
something there.
If you don't check in at the Marangolos, you do not get that title in 2019.
It is
There you go.
something they all have in common that would otherwise never be true. The three guys who've never been in my kitchen, Cliff Clavin style.
Hey, man. By the way, they all brought so much to the
yes.
poker table when they arrived, and through our ears, they are such great class act human beings.
Yep.
That's what we got here. That's what we're talking about. This is this league. These are the leaders of this league. And, you know, we are here as the ambassadors to the rest of the country to let everyone know the damn truth. And here it is.
Tell you all about it.
The WCAC is the greatest high school sports conference in the land. That's what we talk about on a weekly basis on the WCAC Spectacular. We're going to be here all summer long. Currently, no more live broadcast planned for this, session. Although we are gearing up for a fall football extravaganza. What do you got, Kev?
So we're not live streaming the tennis match between Matt Seal and I and you and Tim Strachan.
That's a Legends.
All right, well, all right,
that's a
fine.
special event.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's like you like to say,
yeah.
That's pay-per-view.
let's put a in that.
We'll put a
What do you
pin in
have to say?
that.
Put a pin in that.
Oh,
Pin in
that's
that.
happening. That is
happening.
Oh, it
T
is.
and I versus Seal and Kevin.
I saw T practicing the other day.
Anyone out there wants to give us
I'm not worried.
some bubble space? We're gonna make this happen, and we will live broadcast that. And also, anyone who's still hanging out with us tonight, 2 questions for you. One, if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button on the First Amendment Sports. It's a free subscription. You'll get live updates on when we go live on location or from the basement. And secondly, if you have any ideas or thoughts of things you might want to see us cover this summer, because we're going to be talking WCAC all summer long. We got some ideas of our own. We're always open and willing to listen to what folks have to say, because
I like that, Ken.
There's
I'll-
basketball,
yeah.
lacrosse, baseball, all kinds of good stuff.
and there's
going
lots
on
of
this summer.
stories.
Got a lot of guests in mind that we're going to get on here and talk about old school stuff and
Past
and
athletes,
talk about
past
good old
coaches.
days, glory days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hit us up. You can hit us up on Twitter at Kevin Ricka, is it TB Strachan 13?
T13 Strachan.
T13 Strachan, MCL Photo.
Photo.
It's Raining Ken, plead the first CEO at First Amendment Sports. Hit us up. Let us know what you want us to talk about and cover this summer. In addition to what I hope is going to be some fun, fun WCAC. I think this is the time of year when we like to invite some folks either to the basement or maybe to a sports bar somewhere and talk about some old school WCAC action.
Oh, I got a lineup in mind. I know we all come to the table and bring our lineups in mind, and a lot of these names are going to be the same ones that you guys have, but it's going to be fun. This is the fun time of year. We get to have some characters come down here, and you know what, Casey and Mark, if you're out there,
oh, you guys,
we got
see
two.
it?
We got
Room
two
for that
trophies.
trophy right
we got
here,
two,
boys. That's right.
Exactly. There's a poker table screaming for 2 trophies. to be
It
placed
is
on
a note that Gonzaga should take. Trivers bringing the trophy here, and of course
Steve Turner. hooking
Steve
it
Turner
up.
bringing the trophy here. Until Casey O'Neill brings that trophy here, their next championship is in jeopardy.
Might be.
They need it. You need.
All right,
to
don't put
bring
them
the
in
hard one out.
jeopardy because they've
No bad juju for the purple
They've
right
been
now. Don't do
amazing.
it.
They've been
Yep.
amazing.
They have been.
They have been.
They're calling it their purple
We're
rain.
not threatening. We're just saying we understand.
You understand?
We understand the process of all the hard work and recruiting and everything that you have to do with the program, taking care of the kids,
Long
making sure grades are
nights.
good.
No sleep.
You got to come down here just for a little
It's
bit.
one little extra thing.
That's right. Come
One
get
little
some.
extra. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I want to thank Tim Strachan.
I appreciate it, Ken. Hey, congratulations to Gonzaga again, Casey O'Neill, St. John's, Mark Gibbs, Bishop Ireton. It was a great weekend. It was a great season. A lot of fun to cover it. looking forward to what Ken was talking about coming this summer and leading up to the football season, guys. Great job, and we'll be talking to you soon.
He's Matt Rio DLCO.
It's great to be here again, guys. I just want to send a shout out to all of the athletes this year in the WCAC, and of course every athlete that's out there trying their best and putting their efforts out there. Keep working hard, guys. Do your thing, and we look forward to seeing the results of what you guys are putting out there.
And you can get pictures of yourself in action on the field of play at MCO Photo.
You sure can.
They don't get any clearer.
Nope.
They don't get any better.
Appreciate that.
Field side, court side, ring side.
It's got to be there, man.
He's Kevin Ricca.
Hey, when we say the WCAC is the best conference in the nation, we're not just talking about what's happening on the field. It's the people behind, it's the people in charge. And this spring, Mark Gibbs, Casey O'Neill, Wes Speaks, guys that have done their best to prove that to be true. And I'm going to keep it with the common theme of what they would say. And I think they'd agree with me on this one. Till next season, be a good sport.
Well said. On behalf of the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference and First Amendment Sports, thanks for having us for our first year in our relationship with the league. Thanks for joining us on Tuesday nights. Keep coming back. We got a great year in store, and it's going to all start again next week. And it's going to. Are there any teams in action between now and next week? Is everyone pretty much done?
No, the cadets are in the DCIA.
Well, league stuff.
League
No,
stuff.
league
I think
stuff's
it's
done.
It's
I think league stuff's
a
tying
wrap.
a bow on that. Yep.
Everything
Perfect.
will be wrapped by next week this time.
We'll keep our
study
eyes
for those
open.
exams.
That's right.
Yes.
Stay in school.
Still
kids.
stay in school. Stay in school for another week
Stay in school.
or two. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. We'll be back next week on the WCAC Spectacular. See, we're still live. No cussing.
Easy, T.
Why do I always get called out?
I don't know, but I appreciate it
I know.
immensely.